Oh, hello. This is Dirty 20 Gaming. My name's Kevin, and we're finally started because we were having a nice chat about something that's none of your business. Let's continue. Uh, wasn't bad. It's just none of your business. But let's continue. These amazing people have agreed to join me tonight to play a game. These amazing people are. Let's start in the darkest room. You know who that is, Thunderscape.
Hi, I'm Thunderscape 7 or Robin. I play Artemis Demasi on Saturdays, and I lurk on the Discord where I sometimes post art, but most of the time just chat or lurk.
Yes, on our Discord, you are always being watched. It's an important internet lesson because you are always being watched. When you're on the
There's
internet,
always
it's just, we're
lurkers.
blatant about it. Hey, we're watching. Hi, lurkers. Uh,
I'm also a mod, so I am watching, but
yes, that is true. Absolutely. And thank you for posting the Discord. We're doing this in order of darkest rooms. Felicity, who is played by
Hi.
the waywardest of knights. Go.
Yeah, I'm Chris, aka Wayward Knight, and I play Felicity Caldwell on Saturdays. I also GM our Buffy the Vampire Slayer game Grave New World on Mondays, which is coming back
Yeah.
in however many days till this Monday. It's this Monday.
48 hours as of
Same
the time of this
same
recording.
bat time. Yeah. Uh
Same bat tile, same
Same
bat
dirty
channel.
20 times, same dirty 20 channel.
Yes.
Um and I also am an artist. I put my art on the internet. You can buy it if you want. It's in the links and shit. Um Same thing. I host a podcast. It's called Professional Questers, where I interview people in the TTRPG world about their characters, and then I flip the script and interview the characters themselves. It's all in the links wherever the links end up.
In the tree of linkage. Yes. Thank you. Because he's in the brightest room, because he's the furthest west. I think you're even. No, I think you're slightly east from me, like about 20 meters. Long ways north, but only about 20 meters west. But anyway, Bison underscore Stonefist.
That's me. I am a mostly here, except I'm not actually here. On Mondays, I will be returning to Jack, not a cop, Aldridge in the Buffy Vampire Slayer game that was previously mentioned. On Tuesday, I run my own game called Carnage Heights. It's on the Cyberpunk Red system. We've been on a bit of a hiatus because of life, but with any hope, this Tuesday, check it out. And on Thursday, I play Encino, our Dragonborn Paladin in our D&D 5e adventure in the Fool's Gold campaign, King's Pyrite.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's all.
I think that's it. Yes. So if you've done the math up to this point, you have realized that we are, as of 2 days from now, going to potentially be streaming 7 nights a week. I say potentially because scheduling, and that's all I ever have to tell anybody who plays TTRPGs. So the goal is 7 nights a week. If you tune in and we're not here, it's because people couldn't be here. And this is a game, not your real life. So real life first. But, pardon my language, fuck real life. Let's play a game. Let's play this game because it's more real than most real lives. Or at least it's more emotionally draining. All right. With that,
Debatable.
debatable. Let's start. Actually, let's start with Artemis because you were walking home.
yes.
You've met the person you wanted so desperately to hate.
I wanted so desperately to hate him, and then found out he was just kind of pathetic and starry-eyed, and then she was like, ah, fuck.
so so you had a good chat with him and your both of your new friends. The
Yeah,
person
which we
you met
did.
up.
I never got his name.
Nope. Well, you got Desi's name, but
I
the
got
other
Desi's
one,
name,
the other
not
one
the
specifically said they weren't
guide.
going to tell you. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, that way I don't have to remember it. Ha ha, sneaky. But
I'll get it out of you.
I'll make it up when you do. So you leave the two of them in the arboretum planning their apology art.
No, I
Which,
helped them with the apology art, then left.
oh yeah, but they haven't done it yet, right? Because they were
No,
going to go out and do rocks on the hillside, right?
well, she helped them do some of that, but didn't left them to it when she knew they
Right,
weren't going to be causing mayhem.
right, yeah,
She didn't really trust their judgment.
yeah. So
Uh,
when you left, they were partway
with
through
that.
the I'm sorry, no public art, I think was the apology. Down
Yeah,
stones on
something
the
along
wall.
those lines.
Yeah.
No like destruction of property or something along those lines, because that was
Yeah.
what they were angry
Graffiti
about.
is vandalism or whatever it says.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, some
Yeah.
kind of tag word. And she nixed the fire idea because he
Yes.
wanted to light it on fire, and
To
she
make it
said
more
no.
visible. Yes. Okay. So perfect. So you're walking away from that. How does what is Artemis processing right now? Because
Uh, she's processing a lot because yeah, she was not really sure what she was going to meet with this guy. She was like, it could either be someone who's completely mental and like dangerous, or just an idiot, and it turned out it was just an idiot
yep,
who, had, hopes and dreams but didn't actually know how the world would react to things.
yep, it's yep,
Um and so like I mean, she's glad she went to go and try and find him, because at least then it avoided him getting himself killed,
yep, or
or
at least lowered the pressure.
low lowered the pressure of like him potentially putting himself in danger or anyone else in danger.
Yeah,
Um, uh, but it's still a bit much
sure.
because it, I mean, there was already the pressure of like we're starting social reform
Hmm.
here without, also having him trying to like rally the people,
Yeah,
and realizing just um how trapped in the systematic uh processes they were, like,
yep,
the idea of fixing up the house and like, well, who's stopping you?
yes, yeah. The
like
rules are so
like
ingrained that they don't
it's
even. Yeah,
enormous.
yeah,
It's very much a kind of like a Florence type situation where like you're just told so many things for so long you don't know the difference.
yeah.
And so that's kind of how she eventually came to start thinking about, well, then how do we how do we start this, and what's my place in it? How can I, because I'm not political
Yeah,
ish, I don't know how to do it like in a correct way,
yeah.
basically. I've never done that.
Yes, you
um
explode in art to change the world. Yeah, it's yeah,
yeah, oh, she's an artist. Like,
yeah,
she was a photographer because that got her into the scrap for like materials,
yes,
but like that doesn't do her any good at here.
yeah,
And so she's like, well, there's rich people we need to convince of things. Rich people like status. What's status? Artist status. I can do art.
yeah. That's right, because
I
you
can
were
make
going
bomb ass
to.
sculptures.
Yes, you were going to post an ad, right?
Yeah, she was basically gonna kind of start. She was probably gonna try and talk to Terrence or someone else who knew how to go about that wouldn't be like not illegal, but like the incorrect way.
Actually, you would
Because
have
she,
seen it already in the middle of town in one of the major squares, because
Mhm,
Italian cities are all about squares, right?
yeah,
In one of those huge squares, there's sort of a kiosk in the middle, and it's one of the round ones, and the
hmm,
entire outside is covered in corkboard, and it's like a message board, right? There's job
okay,
offers,
okay.
there's job work wanted, all of it's there.
Yeah. And so, yeah, if she saw that, then she would have definitely quickly, because she brought her bag with her, so
Yeah,
she would have quickly created something that was like, I can do art, I can do portraiture, and not put a price on it, but it's not like this is only for the people up on the hill.
yeah,
But it's like not putting the price on it is strategic for the people up on the hill.
yeah, absolutely. So what is the? I mean, I'm not asking for specifics, but what are you offering? You said you're a sculptor, so pri- primarily,
Um, Yeah, she primarily has in the past done sculpture, but she can do portraiture and stuff like that too. But that's not necessarily where she excels, and she figures statues are pretty in your face,
yep,
like very big, and so that's the main thing she would have advertised for, and basically it's like price, nothing about the price, but like, cost, materials, and time cost, that kind
Yeah.
of stuff.
But you don't, no number. So as
Yeah.
the play in the old game, if you have to ask, you can't afford it.
Yeah,
So,
and like,
Mhm.
and I believe I said this last week that like, if someone from one of the smaller like shops wanted something, like she wouldn't be like, no, I won't do it. Like,
Yep.
sure, I'm just not going to charge you an arm and a leg for it because I'm not an ass.
Yeah. Perfect. Do you put an address on it, or are you going to just sort of come back and check?
Um,
It looks like some people are writing on the signs, like, please come to such and such an address. So there's
yeah,
the option of doing that, or there's the option of putting an address on it for them to contact you.
yeah, she probably wouldn't put the address just because the address is the Caldwells, and she
Yeah.
wouldn't want to be like, if she's doing this to kind of like try and like influence people, she wouldn't want to be like showing favoritism to the
Fair.
Caldwells, if that makes sense, or
Yeah.
like show like anything along those lines. So she would probably be like, leave queries here or something along those lines,
Yep.
if that is something that is also being done by other
Yeah,
people.
like we'll check. I check this board every 24 hours, right? It's just like
Yeah.
Discord, right? 3 o'clock,
Yeah.
I check my messages. If you haven't
Check
heard
my
from me by 2,
email.
don't get mad.
I check my email every
Yeah,
day. I'll get
every
back
day.
to you in the next business day. If it's after 4, it'll be in the day next.
I work banker's hours because I'm a sculptor. So once you got that posted, then what's the plan? Back to the
Yeah, back to the Caldwell Manor.
mansion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to leave you with one image as you walk onto the property. They let you in. There's no fuss and bother. They know your staff, special staff of the lady. But way over in the corner, because they made them move it because the stuff on the front garden was not cool. But way over in the corner, you see, for a moment, you see Terrence in a palanquin being run back and up and down a little driveway by the Lemvillians, and then you see Allegra going as fast as Allegra can go on the crutches, and she starts waving one of them at Terrence, and just like she's telling him off something fierce. And he leaps out of the palanquin and looks sufficiently sheepish. I'm so looking forward to when I get to do these scenes with Karis and poor Terrence, who's just trying, but he's just out of his depth. But I'm going to leave you there for a minute watching that mayhem. Well, we cut to a train station. Barry's asleep in the corner, muttering something about 484 locomotives in his sleep. They've taken his bottle out of his hand and his glass out of his hand and put it on the table. This appears to be regular occurrence, like that's just part of what happens here. So Barry's
He has
snoozing.
a couple of spots that are like known. You can see like his shoulder goes here.
Yeah.
Or
Oh
goes
yeah.
here.
Yeah.
It's always in the same spot.
You look the chair. It's got the like Archie Bunker's chair. It fits my ass. But yeah. Yeah, he's passed out. The other two that were there saw the time and bolted for home. They're going to be in trouble, which leaves you basically there with Tony Sr. I know you were discussing stuff, but that's what you said last time. But let's get specific this time.
Yeah.
So,
It's primarily location.
Yep.
Sid knows he needs a place with room for at least 3 boilers.
Mm-hmm.
To produce steam power. He knows to do that, he's going to need a place to draw water. They're going to need coal for the burners or some type of, fuel to burn.
You start listing all this stuff, and Tony nods a couple times, then he starts to grin, and then he finally just laughs out loud. He says, "You've never really been a manager before, have you? You're a dirty hands guy, right?"
I always hated that office.
Well, you're going to have to get used to it. You're also going to have to get used to big picture. That sentence that you just said there was way too long for most people to listen to. You can talk to me like that. I get it. I understand that this is complicated. But when you talk to other people, we need a building. That's it. I'll deal with the rest.
Sid glances over Tony Sr.'s shoulder and he can see Tomas and his father with their hands across their arms, like this, and just shaking silently with laughter. Right, location first. What part of town do you think we could find that, and he points to on the map where the Medicis and the Tenors and all them, but they won't bother us, and B has enough room for what we need.
I know exactly the place. I have since about 5 minutes after you walked in here today. Problem is, it's a mess. Last time it got used, it was a garment factory. So there's all kinds of equipment in there that we don't want. But there is a solid concrete base. In fact, they took boilers out of there to put the garment factory in. But we're talking hundreds of hours of labor to get that cleaned up. And I, for one, am too old for that shit. As for them bothering us, it's right down by the water. They won't even know we're there. And he does this to the room around him. He says, this has been here for 15 years. And we're not exactly sneaky. We turn the damn lights on.
Perfect. I'd rather have a finished product to show off, Make these idiots, will make them regret not looking at us in the first place.
Put that there. Because you have now technically recruited him. Well, he's recruited himself, basically. He says, this is all very good. So you need to practice sitting on your ass in an office being orderly, by which I mean giving orders, not asking questions, not requesting shit, giving orders. Don't worry, at the start it'll only be to me. And when you stumble and bumble, I'll just fucking laugh. But you need to practice being a boss. I get to get the dirty hands. And he's clearly like, he's saying, on paper, it's that you're here and he's here. But in reality, he's doing the work.
Yeah. Tony can see Sid visibly fidget at the prospect of having to sit down and not work for a living.
What you need is practice. I'm going to put up a sign in the square, and you're going to interview every dumbass that walks through the door. It's not difficult. If they can put their fingers together like that, I could use them.
That's true. All we need is strong hands, at least at the start.
And small brains doesn't hurt. We need people who can pick things up and put them somewhere else. We don't need people who can think of where it should go. I will point.
Hired hands it is.
And he kind of grins. He says, well, tomorrow. I'm not doing anything tonight, and besides, the 845s do. This whole time, there's been trains going everywhere in this building. Pick Venice up and move it somewhere else. As soon as you pick it up, all the water falls off the side of the plate, and it turns into Florence. Felicity, what are you doing in this? You can hear these Sid being very gently told off and very gently told that he has no idea what he's in for and that he's in way over his head.
I think she's having a look around whenever she wants to laugh. She like bites her lip and looks away, just
Mhm.
trying to like silently not snicker. Um, she's already recruited Tony. The fuck is that? Sorry. Um, not Tony. Barry.
Yeah.
Um,
It's going to be
so
functional
she
until
kind of
about 8 o'clock every day. he's,
she can work with that.
he's consistent.
Um, um, she just kind of is giving Sid the time to get what he needs done.
Yeah.
And she's trying to formulate in her mind a way to kind of bridge um or sort of propose extending a branch between the Caldwells and what is essentially the engineering department of the city.
Yeah.
But she doesn't know if now is the right time to do that yet because it's not gotten a solid footing yet.
Yeah.
And Felicity doesn't want to look like she's undermining her mother.
Yeah.
So
Or overstepping. Yeah. Yeah. If you were
or
to just walk out the
overstepping,
door
yeah.
now and say everything changes, you're not going to get taken seriously. The place isn't ready to hear it yet. You need to convert your mom. You realize that, like, she needs to be on your side. She's got the pull to do shit. You are Lady Caldwell. She is Lady Caldwell, right?
Yeah.
Plus, she's got a
Yeah.
reputation in this town as being a real, depending on who you ask, very hard-headed businesswoman or stone cold bitch, depending on who you ask. You know you know her right by now. It's all about her family
hmm
and her power. So as all that's going through your head, I wanted to give you an image because you said you're sort of walking around and giving them space. As you get down to the other end of this room, you just see 4 legs sticking out from underneath the table that the train tracks are on. It's just Verité's legs and Stefano's legs, and you can just hear muttering underneath. Ooh, ow, 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 I burned my finger. Ow.
I
And then
think
Verite
she's
laughing
going
and
to I think she's going to crouch down in a way that is conducive while wearing a dress.
Yep.
Um
That's the nice thing with the 4
and
length ones. You can go knees wide and just crouch and nothing shows. Right?
yeah.
it
And
ain't pretty, but yeah.
And or just do like a squat.
Yep.
And just kind of peek her head under and say, hello boys, having fun?
As you say that, you kind of your eyes get distracted up to the bottom of the table. It looks like the detail in it is like what you used to do in wrists. Like it's what you used to do in thumbs. It's just the steamwork under here is stunning. And you can get the feel. It's very much the same as the one in the shop. This is organically designed. This isn't built to plan. This is just I need something over here. It's like a vein and art. It's like veins and arteries, not like science, right? Like mechanics. And that's what's got these two just flabbergasted. Stefano looks like he did the first time he saw Verité's stuff. He's trying to follow it and see what happens. Like he's trying to figure out how everything connects. And Verité's just eyes wide. He's just holistic, the whole thing. Like he's just one blink and he's got it. And he's just amazed. All you hear as a response to your question is, because they're
I
both
kind
just
of
gone.
use the fact that it looks, because like if it looks familiar to me sort of instinctively, can I try to like make it make sense to them?
Yep. To Stefano. Yeah, absolutely. So you start pointing this way and that way, and Verité's just nodding and nodding. And Verité just keeps saying over and over, and it's maybe a little bit creepy, but it's what he keeps saying over and over. It's just like a body. It's just like a body. It all works together. It's just like a body. And Stefano's still
And
trying to
she's
see
trying
it as
to ignore that.
components. Yeah. But it's
Yeah.
true, right? It's the same thing you
Yeah.
guys used to do.
Yeah.
You'd use one tube to do 5 things, right? It's all interconnected. If a tube
Mm-hmm.
breaks here, the whole thing goes down, right? So
Yeah. So,
I intended this
you
to be
know,
creepy because this is the guy that ran away from that. He hates the woman that did that. But then
yeah. And
here it
then
is.
here, I think seeing that, and once once she kind of realizes that maybe Stefano needs some time to absorb what she's been saying,
Yep.
um, and Verite is clearly just like in his own space.
Yep.
Um, she takes one more look at this web of veins essentially going on underneath these train platforms, and
There's a little piece of paper tucked in where there shouldn't be one. Like it's just between 2 pipes, and there's no reason for it to be there. It's not absorbing pressure. It's just a little folded piece of very yellow old paper.
she'll take it out.
And you kind of cracks when you open it, and it says on it, "I promise on all that I hold holy that that bitch will die." Set in here right amongst the works of that bitch.
She's going to wait until she's sufficiently sure that Sid and Tony have finished their conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as they sort of process their way along the conversation, and Sid's wanes, and perhaps they begin to start heading out for the night,
Yep.
she will try to get Tony Sr.'s attention
Yep.
in just a way of like, um,
You catch him as he's taking a blanket out of a cupboard to go cover Barry.
yeah, it should just kind of be like, there are some ways you could improve the biotechnics of your designs.
When you say biotechnics, it's like a tick. It's just and you can just see like 30 years of rage triggered in an instant.
And that was deliberate.
Oh
That was
yeah.
to tell him
Mm-hmm.
that was to tell him that I know
Yep.
that he knows, and I know that he knows that she's not dead if he continues to use her systems.
Mm-hmm. And you see that tick, and then he stops for a moment, looks at you, and says, "I had hoped to use something evil to do good. This is just a train set. This is just a model. But you and your friends, we can do this. We can pull this out of the shit. And we can make it do good. No bodies, just steam."
Nobody's.
He takes this opportunity to just to give himself a moment. He very carefully tucks Barry in and adjusts his head so he's not gonna, so he puts it back a little bit and then looks back at you and said, says, "You said you. I think it was. You said your friend said you fixed the house. You got rid of all the. And he can't even say it, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yes, we did.
I want to do that to this." And he points to the train station.
What do you mean?
I hate to say it, but she inspired me. Her work was brilliant. Her mind bent like a paperclip, but her work was brilliant. I don't want to throw all that out just because she chose. You can see the bile rising in his throat. He's trying not to throw up. She chose to use people. And he bangs it out of nowhere, just pounds his hand on the table. Barry actually goes and then goes back to sleep. She chose that.
You can see
And he does not know what you
Felicity's
used to do for
jaw.
a living. Yeah.
You can see Felicity's. He can see
Yeah.
Felicity's jaw tensing.
Uh-huh.
And he just says, "Yes, yes, she did. And we won't do the same things that she did. But we will take what she invented and improve it, make it better, and make it work."
And he nods deeply. And in a weirdly out of place gesture, he reaches out to fist bump you.
She's never been fist bumped in her life.
Mm-hmm.
I think she just like she kind of she kind of like grabs it like,
yeah. And once he sees that you're uncomfortable, he switches to a handshake.
and she'll shake it. Oh, actually, I may have some tools that would help this setup you have. It might be handy for your hobby.
And he raises an eyebrow. He says, "You," and he kind of scans you up and down. Remember, you're dressed to the nines. You've let
Yeah.
your hair down, but it's still like it's done. You
Mhm.
wiped up most of the makeup, but it's still, you're all done up. And he kind of scans you up and down and goes, "You work in Steam?" And then there's a pause, and he says, "Micro Steam?"
I worked in microsteam until a buildup of geological pressure obliterated my hometown. But I guess it's not my hometown. The place where I essentially grew up, yes.
And he involuntarily takes half a step back and says, free advice. Don't mention Florence.
Don't tell anyone? Yeah, no. I gathered that.
And he takes another half a step back and looks at you again and says, "That means you worked for..." And he can't finish the
Yes.
sentence.
Is everything all right over
I've
there?
It's okay, Sid. We're just working some things out.
All right.
Yes, I did work for her. I never met her, but the circumstances of my rearing were beyond my control. I
As
didn't
you
know
say
what I
that,
was.
he goes white when you say that. And he interrupts you and he says, she talked about taking children. You're. And he stops because he's about to blurt out, you're one of the kids she kidnapped.
Sid has stopped what he was doing.
Yeah.
And he's got his back to the conversation, but if anybody were to see, he's very clearly listening.
Yeah.
She just nods with her eyes closed.
And you see the color doesn't come back, but there's a click. And he goes into grandpa mode at that moment and does not ask. He just wraps you up in a big hug.
She's like taken by surprise and like isn't sure what to
It's
do,
like the
but
grandpa hug. He pulls your head into his chest, and it just like you're safe now, right? That Sid would slowly pick the wrench
she'll
up. What are you doing, buddy? Yeah.
yeah. She's kind of gradually releases the tension in her body. I don't think she ever fully relaxes, but
Nope.
she just like lets it happen because I mean she still hasn't met her father yet.
Nope.
So she's like, okay, sure.
And he kind of
Um,
realizes what he's done and awkwardly lets you go. And then he looks at the
yeah,
floor and says to you, can I save the world for you? For all of you? For all those poor fucking kids?
she looks him in the eyes and says, let's save the world together.
Big nod. And he holds up for the fist bump he said again, and he looks at you and he says, just punch it really lightly. And whether you're expecting it or not, he does the punch back. So it's like you're getting ready to, like, you're expecting to do this and you get that instead. So it's kind of a knuckle dung. But
Mm.
we used to do that because we thought it helped stop spreading disease. Hard habit to break. Doing
No
it since
elbows?
2022. The elbow thing never stuck. Nobody ever did elbows. I never saw anybody do elbows or
Nope.
feet. Like you're supposed to like sort of ankle kick each other. This just sounds like an excuse for an accident in Canada in the winter. Anyway, back to the game.
Yeah. So, yeah. She says, let's save the world together
And he, with that,
for all of them.
he reaches over and grabs Barry's glass of sherry and has a drink. You still have a glass you had it from last time, so
Yeah.
but yeah, he finished his a long time ago. He had one glass. Barry had most of a bottle. So he has a sip out of Barry's glass and puts
Yeah.
it right back down so that it will be there in the morning, right where Barry's glass always is in the morning. Like you can see the ring on the table. This is Barry does this every day. It's good to be a Baron. He's Barry the Baron. But so with that, yeah, he has his drink and you can see he's processing so hard he's falling into himself. And at that point from under the table you hear Stefano say, oh, I think we're leaving. And Verity goes, no. And Stefano says, don't make me pull you out from under the table. And Verity says, okay. And Stefano comes out, and Verite comes out like Calvin following instructions, right? It's like a millimeter at a time. I'm still coming. He never stops moving, but the whole time his head is just admiring all this work underneath.
Felicity will turn to Verite and basically say, like, I'm sure the lovely men will let us come back and visit their trains, all right? We do have to get back to the house, though.
We didn't even get to play with the trains, so we only looked underneath and watched the trains. We didn't get to play with the trains. I haven't touched a controller all night.
Well, then we have a reason to come back, among others, but a reason for you to come back.
Okay. And he just walks over and stands by the door and waits. I love Verite when he makes decisions. It's just like, okay, and then we're doing this. Yep. Everything else is gone. Mind empty. Let's go. Stefano kind of like I'm never going to get used to him, but it sort of follows him over.
Yeah. Sid goes up and he shakes Tony Sr.'s hand.
Yeah.
They talk about when they're going to meet up in the morning, where, which, which
just
town, which piazza would be the best.
He's I'll put the signs up tonight. How about? And he kind of looks at you and says, my wife prefers that I stay home until the early afternoons. But after that, she's quite happy to have me piss off. So 4 o'clock, that'll give me time to check the sign on the way here.
Works for me.
Speaking of,
in the back of his head, Sid's like, that's way too fucking late.
Yeah. But he's speaking of time, and he kind of looks out the window and sees where the moon is, and you can actually tell, as long as it's clear, you can tell from the stars basically what time it is, because they rotate around the North Star, and you just a 12-hour clock, but easy. When there's no real clocks around, it's a way to do it. He looks out the window, he says, I won't say she's expecting me, but she will get upset if the staff tells her I wasn't home. Before
Would you like a ride then?
And he looks at the glass of sherry, picks it up, drains it, puts it down. He says, I think I better walk. I've got a lot to think about. Besides, it would feel odd riding in my own car. You know, I never did.
She never gave you a chance.
She never allowed me in the garage after it was done.
Bitch.
Except when it was broken. I told you.
Well, then we'll have to do something about that.
Tomorrow. I want to be sober. And you can see he's a professional drinker. Mm-hmm. He's had a number, and most people would be sort of like Barry. But yeah, Tony's a pro. He's had exactly his limit, and he has stopped. But he knows he's got to walk home and let the wind blow the stink off before he walks into his house.
I told you not to smell like engine grease.
It's all right, it's sherry.
Well, that's fine then.
Yeah. Don't throw up on the upholstery. Yeah, that's Barry. Yeah.
Don't throw up on the dragon.
Yeah. So, with that, the two of you heading out?
Yeah.
So you head back to the mansion. It's late. I mean, it's the middle of the bloody night by the time you get home. The guard at the gate still lets you in, but you do get the raised eyebrow. Like,
Felicity gives them the stink eye.
Yeah, and and then they focus all of their slight what's the word I'm looking for? Disapproval on Sid, because they can stare at, they can give him the stink eye, but you're Lady Caldwell, so they kind of can't. But you roll in. By the light coming out of one of the windows, you can see a disassembled palanquin sitting over on the far side of the grass. It's completely been taken apart, and there's no one present anywhere near it. And somewhere there's 12 very confused Lamvillians going, what do you mean you want me to do something other than carry a palanquin?
I'm really good at it.
Yeah, that's my job.
Yeah, I think Sid would park the Orchid Mobile in like I think probably like parallel to the disassembled sort of lumber.
Yep. Well, I was thinking that given how gorgeous that thing, I mean, it's it's gorgeous to a certain set of eyes, but it is spectacular to everyone. I was thinking at the top of the driveway, like when they used to put
Mm.
their Rolls Royces right in front of the stairs,
Oh
uh,
yeah,
Yeah.
just to show off. But either way,
I mean, you kind of have to if you're gonna go under the pretense of driving
that's true.
Lady Caldwell
yeah,
up to the stairs and
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah,
yeah.
I think I like Sid forgot that there was, procedures for things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
You're looking for the parking lot, and they're going, "Go to the front door, sir. The valet will get it." Except you're the valet.
yeah. Except on the ballet, yeah.
But
So yeah, he goes up. He does the whole, opening the door, helping her down.
yep, because you're back in the public again.
And you can see him roll his eyes.
Steaming
He's just
slightly in
trying
the
to not
darkness.
look uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Um,
And he's like,
yeah, and
before we go in, you ready?
for a shitstorm.
Of varying degrees.
It is the middle of the night.
We missed a whole meal. 2 probably.
And Felicity, whether you realize it or not, you are now wearing an afternoon dress in the middle of the night.
Always
Faux
cold.
pas.
And it's cold.
Yep.
It is cold. She will admit it's cold. She looks at Sid and she says, I suppose I'm as ready as I can be. And she will sort of take a couple pins and like pin up a little bit of her hair
Mm-hmm.
just to like look like she actually no, that's probably an insult to make it look like, oh, she only did half an attempt. So actually she won't do that. She
Yeah.
won't do that. But I think she will try to get back to her room without encountering her mother,
Yep. Easy to do.
change,
Yeah.
and then go find her mother.
When you walk in the front doors, your mother is not there. She's long gone to bed, like a proper lady. But the staff is one of the butlers is standing there with a note in their hand, and they don't even look at you. They just stand there holding the note, and on it says Felicity.
She looks at it with a sigh, a very like understated sigh. Takes the note and dismisses the butler. And then when the butler has their back turned, she's like, "Meh." And then she will delicately open the note.
Yep. And you smell lavender, and because it's that sort of yeah. And there's like, it's on official Caldwell stationery. Like
No.
the whole thing is at the top, and it's all calligraphied. She didn't write it; someone wrote it for her. And it says, "Breakfast is 1 hour after dawn." And then below it, there's a Lady Catherine. It's midnight. Breakfast is in 7 hours.
I'm just laughing at the Harry Potter reference. In the chat.
Yep.
Good job, Robin. Yeah, so she'll just like sigh and roll her eyes and make her way very independently up to her room.
Yep.
Change independently into her night dress.
Yep.
Wash off her makeup, take down her hair, put it in a braid to keep it from getting too messy. That's what she always does.
Yep.
And then I'm just like
Is Felicity about to flounce? Like just flounce off the bed, like that.
Felicity wants to like simultaneously flop into a puddle
Yeah.
and like blow steam out of her ears like a fucking cartoon.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And
Up until today, Felicity has been exceptional at everything she's ever done, and today she's been uncomfortable all day. So I get it. Yeah.
so she's finally like not in restrictive clothing. She's just
Yep.
in like her nightdress and stuff and like her shift and all that like house coat
Yep.
BS.
The bottom 5 layers.
What? And like, you know, her little night slippers and stuff. And I think she sits for like an hour just thinking, and then she wonders if anyone else is still awake. She kind of peeks her head down the hall to see if there are any lights on.
Okay, so let's cut away from you at that moment. 1 hour previous to that, when you guys get home, Sid, you live in the staff hallway. So Felicity goes to her room, and then there's the hallway ahead of you where you live.
Yeah.
So as you make your way down there, Artemis, you hear, must be Sid. Nobody else is moving at this time of the night, but you hear somebody moving out in the hall.
Yeah, she's definitely still awake.
Mm-hmm. Clomp, 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 clomp.
Stomp walking because you're not thinking about it. You're just walking and thinking.
Yeah. It's that
He's
end of the
swamping.
day, I'm more tired than I want to admit walk.
Yep. Oh yeah,
Go
you're used
back
to
to
getting up.
everyone.
You've been up since like 5:30 this morning, right? So yeah.
Artemis slept earlier than you.
Fuzzy slippers with embroidered construct heads on them. That's just nasty.
So I imagine Artemis has been in her room because she's like, well, okay, fuck. If I'm gonna be doing commissions, I gotta make sure like I'm gonna try and redraw some of the things I've done because then I can actually show I can do shit. So
I mean, you've got
yeah.
you've got the sketches.
Yeah, she's got the sketches and she was trying to rework some stuff and she would have also recreated another like advert and like slipped it in with like Lady Caldwell's mail.
Okay, yeah, I love it. Yep.
Would have just handed it to one of the butler, like this goes in her mail, please.
Yep.
Because she's like, I'm not gonna presume I can just hand her something.
Yes.
Nah.
Give it to staff, they'll do it properly, right? They know the
Yes.
Yeah, they know the way to do it. So yep.
If they don't, just throw it away because I'm a, ragamuffin. But she'll get up and she'll kind of look out her kind of like partially open door. Sid?
Hey,
Hey.
I was. He just sort of looks at your hands like, I noticed a disturbing refreshing lack of blood on your hands, so I assume that your protege is still alive.
Surprisingly, he was more of an idiot than I originally imagined.
Oh, really?
Yes. Like
He's a-
very much an idiot.
He's a cult follower. I don't know where I got the inspiration for them. I almost called him Mega Mike, but never mind.
Jeez.
He didn't understand not causing damage to public property, especially when there are high society types.
There's so much public property that nobody's using, though.
And that's
Yes,
a
but
good time for me to jump in here real quick. The art that he put up, that he calls art and they call graffiti, none of it was on houses that were being lived in.
Mm-hmm.
So it was more like murals on broken buildings, and they still freaked out and scratched them all
They
off.
still freaked out because, technically it's property. Yeah.
Yep.
It's all the technicalities.
Mhm.
It's stupid. She'll say. He was making a fuss and making people pissed off, and didn't understand that that could get him in a lot of trouble, if not killed. Um, so he left rocks on a mountain as apology outside the city. I
Interesting.
discouraged him to not set it on fire as a attention-seeking tactic.
Wise.
Uh, but yeah, less conniving, more singular mindset.
Well, I can't say I'm not used to that. I mean, we had, what, half a dozen constructs in the yard. But on the other hand, we met a train club.
Train club.
The people who made the car, and he kind of points vaguely to where outside is.
Yeah.
They make me look like a fool.
Really?
There's what, a half dozen of them. They've all got, and you can see Sid's hasn't like admitted it to himself that he's like the dumbass in the room, and he's kind of finally admitting that. He's like,
Which to be accurate is not correct. It's a matter of scale.
yeah,
Sid is good at boilers, steam pipes. Yeah. These guys are good at boilers and steam pipes.
And
It's
also
different,
is
yeah.
not good at management and being the boss.
Yes,
Which is what he
exactly.
was being ridiculed for.
Yep.
It was not knowing how to be the boss.
Yep.
yeah.
It's
They're
gonna be so
all-
much fun to watch that struggle.
They're all geniuses, and I'm sitting here with a hammer and a wrench, and I'm going to need, and he just pops off like, I think, a ridiculous number of kilograms of copper just to get started. And tomorrow I'm hiring hands.
Hiring hands.
Jazz hands.
We need
It's a dance group.
Yeah, right.
Like employees.
something like that. We're clearing space.
Interesting.
And I'm told to sit on mine.
That's probably going to be difficult for you.
He just sort of nods and reaches under his hat to scratch the back of his head. Oh, this man's almost as bad as my father, but he's...
The ghost in the
Look.
corner
Be careful, your
snaps
father might
around
hear
and
you.
looks at you like, what?
starting to wonder how much I've bitten off here.
I mean, I think we've all bitten off a lot. I decided to set up commissions again.
Back to
I
roots.
figure more sculpture. What I was doing in,
Back home.
yeah. I figure there's a bunch of, high society people, and what do they like? Status symbols. What status symbols? Art status. Maybe get me inside some of the other families' homes.
Be wise. Get the climate. Understand what we're up against with these other two groups. He's like,
And,
"I'll
do
never
art
un-
again.
That's true. And he just sort of like shakes his. I'll never understand the rich.
Neither do I.
Just looks around.
As you do, all three of you, Felicity, you said you were awake for an hour before you came to look. Just before you stand up, all three of you hear outside.
Oh bloody hell! What now?
Is
You're
there a
muted.
nearby window?
Felicity, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's windows. So are we going to windows?
To the window.
Okay.
To the window, to the wall.
So there's the outside shot of the villa, right? And there's only a couple lit lights because everybody else is asleep. And then in one of them, there's the silhouette of Felicity, and in the other one, there's a silhouette of Sid, and then a silhouette of Artemis. So there's just these three little silhouettes in the two lit windows looking out into the yard. Out in the yard where the palanquin bits were, the palanquin has been put back together, and Verite and Stefano are working on something on the legs, or the arms, like the things that you hold on. They're working on those feverishly.
I'm going to murder those two.
And there's a
They didn't
piece of
tire
of
themselves out
spring
with the
laying out.
train.
Well, they got inspired. There's a piece of spring lying in the middle of the yard. You could tell they were putting one in, and it went off. And they didn't go get it. They just made another one and put it in, like they are in creation mode.
Swear to God.
Maybe we shouldn't have left them inside the city.
Maybe we
thought they
should have
already gone
locked
to
them in
bed.
their rooms.
I thought they were already going to bed.
Nope, they never came inside. I very specifically did not say what the two of them did, and nobody asked. So they stayed outside, and then they buggered off because they saw a project.
I'll see what they're up to. I'm still dressed. He makes his way back. Clomp, clomp, clomp.
Felicity, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but maybe your mother's voice in your head says it would be horribly inappropriate to go outside dressed like that.
Oh, she knows.
Oh,
she knows.
Yeah.
She starts to like make her way to the door, and she just goes, and she's like, "Just have to trust that Sid and or Artemis will do something, because getting those bloody dresses on is stupid."
Mm-hmm.
Need to get you a megaphone and a pair of binoculars. So
Some opera glasses.
And
Yeah.
shouting out the window would also be
Yes, very inappropriate.
indecorous.
Yes.
Indecorous.
So you just reduced to watching then? Is that the?
Yeah,
Is that where you
she'll
got
just
to, Kate?
watch.
Artemis, what are you doing?
She debates also going out and following Sid, but also like, no.
She just watched through the window.
I don't want to deal with them at this hour.
So again, we
I've already
cut
dealt
back.
with one
We cut back to
idiot.
that camera shot of the three of you in the two windows, and then Sid walks away. So and you sort of move over. So there's now one of you in each window. A couple of minutes later, the back door opens and Sid stomps out into the yard. Stomps across the. I mean, this is a villa,
Grab
right?
him by
It's
the
got
ears,
a
pull
yard,
them
yard,
inside.
yard.
Yeah.
Grab him by the ears.
Yeah. You walk right past the spring that's kind of stuck in a bush as you're
Lucky
heading
didn't
there. Do you
break a
take it with you?
window.
I think he walks past it, stops, turns around and grabs it,
Okay.
pulls it out.
And as you, yeah.
Was it he looks at it. Was it a technical fault or just it slipped?
Somebody slipped.
Okay.
I mean, it's Verite and
It's not
Stefano.
broken.
It looks like it was
They're
made
not
in a
the strongest
factory, right?
boys.
It is
Yeah.
absolutely perfect. It is the design that if you could do spring math, you'd realize that this is a long winding spring, right? That they
Yeah.
just built out of nowhere in the middle of the yard.
And he just sort of looks at it. Bloody hell. Walks over.
Stefano
Leans
has
down.
built. I want to tell you what you see
Yeah.
first, but you walk over. Stefano has built like a little workstation, and he's currently using a modified grinding wheel to wind up another spring, nice and tight. As so he doesn't really see you. And
And wake up the whole damn neighborhood.
if another one goes off, yeah, you can see it. And then he sticks a little pin in this one, and it actually goes where it's supposed to, so it holds the tension. And he's like, when he goes to let go, it's and it doesn't explode. So Meanwhile, Verite is laying on his belly with his hands out like this. Instead of picking the work up off the ground, he's laid on the ground to do the work. And what he's doing is building dozens of tiny mechanical steam-powered feet.
Like a 6-year-old with Legos.
Yep, he's
Sprawled
like
out.
this whole little mechanical feet on the bottom of the palanquin. So it
Like
won't
a
lift
like
up
a
any-
palanquin Baba Yaga.
Yeah, kind of. What really inspired me was the chest from Terry Pratchett. the chest that has 100 feet and follows Rincewind
Mhm.
around. Yeah, it's like that. They've just built all these feet, except they're purely robotic. I said the chest, but it's got like human feet. There's none of that. They're purely robotic little feet. But yeah, it's still kind of nah.
Like a
Because
millipede.
exactly, yeah, and that's the word I wanted to avoid because I know a lot of people don't like that critter, but that's what they're doing. They're building the creepiest palanquin ever, and you can see on Verité's face he's so excited.
He's like,
And the styling of the steam, one more sentence. The styling of the
Mm.
steam looks like what you guys saw at the train station. It's not a Verite special.
Mhm.
okay.
He's building it like Tony would.
Okay, he's watching Verite because this is the first time he's watched Verite do something not a Verite.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Like-
Tony would be honored or appalled.
Apparently creeped out.
You can see on
He
Verité's
doesn't-
face he's stressed. Like usually he's just kind of blank when he's working. There's no question about what he's doing, but you can see he's having to think to do this. And he's not comfortable with that, but he's doing it anyway.
Yeah. I think Sid waits until the spring has done coiling before he taps Stefano on the shoulder.
Yeah, shit. What? Oh, hey, Sid.
It's a little early for this. The hoity-toities in the mansion are probably going to be mad if you keep this up in the middle of the night.
Oh, you mean the noise, the springy thing?
Yeah, the noise, the springy thing.
I missed the pin. I won't happen again.
Artemis is gonna
like,
open one of the windows and make a paper airplane and hit Stefano in the back.
like, it was fine back in Florence. He whispers that.
Yeah.
Because everything was underground. That's why we were able to hold 3 shifts. But we're on top of a bloody hill, mate. The entire town probably heard that.
He's nodding along with that. He says, like, oh yeah, for sure. But I can't stop him. And he points at Verite. I thought it best I didn't leave him alone.
Just
Probably.
next time, keep the activities to things below a certain level, you know. And then he goes over to Verite, and he sees that Verite's stressed, so he sits across from him.
Yep.
Kneels down. Everything all right there?
No, not at all. And he just keeps building.
That's not your usual work, is it?
No, not at all.
Is that why it's giving you trouble?
And he stops. He freezes. It's not giving me trouble. It's giving me trouble.
It's giving you trouble. Are you okay?
No, it's not efficient.
We can't all be you. And he's figuring out the most efficient way he can. In the least efficient way possible. Don't worry about it.
But I want to make it for him. He's so sad about steam and springs. And I don't like that. It makes me sad. So I'll make him happy so I'm happy. You think he'll like it? And he sort of, he's taken possession of the palanquin. It's his in his head. It's his.
Out of the side of his mouth, Sid's like, I don't think the Lemvillians will appreciate it. But it's not for them, is it?
Oh, they can build another one.
They probably will.
And he just nods like that's the most obvious sentence in the world. It's like, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, Sid starts doing a, for lack of a better term, quality check.
Yep.
He's following the sources and he's, trying to remember what he saw of Tony's stuff. And of course, as always, he's impressed as hell.
Well, you see, it's a weird thing because it looks like Tony's stuff, except in certain places where you can see Verite just went, no, that's too complicated. And you can see these little sections, like Tony's stuff just looks like this, right? It looks like the cappuccino machine, looks like the Borg, right? It's all slammed together.
There's no cable control.
Yeah, and Verite's stuff looks like spider webs, right? It's just, there's just enough there to make it work. So every once in a while, thank you, Hellhounds. I didn't even know we needed a banning, but then you just swooped in out of nowhere and hammered the piss out of them. So thank you. I didn't even know we had one. But yeah,
It
you
was a
can see
rubber mallet.
these little places where there's just pure verite for sort of like this far and then back to looking. And he's even gone so far, and this is really odd for verite because he doesn't think like this. He's made sure that bits of the palanquin covered the parts that don't look like John's work. So he's actually
Tony.
thinking about somebody else's feelings.
Mhm.
Gross.
This is
Character
interesting.
development.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, NPCs, you bet.
Yeah, no, I think Sid spends the next little bit actually talking with Verite about why he decided to do this or that. And then
The
at
answer
the
every
end,
time is for Tony. For Tony. He built the car that started all this. Doing this for Tony.
this is amazing work, Verite. And I think he'd be very impressed by what you've done here.
I hope so. And you can see he means that. Like somebody's opinion matters to him. He's developing emotional intelligence just a little bit.
And he's like, "Oh, my brains doesn't know what to say.
Yep.
I have a thought in my head, but
So maybe you just stand there in the dark for a minute, a little overwhelmed by it all.
yeah." And he's like, this is very well done, Verite. Can I ask why you chose his style? That's not usually something.
Because we took his car apart and we didn't ask. We made it all different. We didn't ask. Even when I met him, I didn't ask.
So it's an apology.
Yeah. And a nice way to get around because he doesn't have his car anymore. Because we have it.
He didn't make the car for himself, though. But
Well, I know,
see
but
where-
he should
I
have
see
it.
where you're going. That's true.
He can't have it because we have it. So I need to do something for him.
Mm.
So, ta-da!
Sid kind of lightly claps. He's like, he's going to help us a lot. And I appreciate what you're doing to help.
Okay. That's all you get
No.
because he's working on something that's really fiddly again, and he's doing
Yeah.
it John way, so brainwaves
Yeah.
all right here. Yeah.
All right, then. And he looks at Stefano. Keep it quiet. Make sure he gets to bed at a decent hour.
You can see Stefano's eyes are just bloodshot and red. He's exhausted trying to keep up to Verite, right? I mean, keeping up with Verite on a regular day is probably pretty
Yeah.
tough. Today was, plus he got his brain filled with cool trains and like it's been a day. And he kind of looks
And actually, he looks at Stefano and he's like, you know what? You get to bed. I'll get someone to keep an eye on him.
No, we're good. And he blinks and he does that thing where he blinks and the eyes open one after the other, like he's that tired. What
Been
time you
there.
think that coffee shop opens? I need to sit down. And he just sits down and leans back and immediately he's passed out, leaning against the side of the palanquin. Verite doesn't even notice. He's just doing tubes.
Yeah. Sid does what he can. He like gets someone to grab a light blanket for him.
Oh yes.
Says to the night watchman, just keep an eye on him. If he does anything that looks a little bit too, and he kind of does this in the general
Yeah.
vicinity.
The guy looks at you and says, like everything he's done tonight? What the hell is he doing? Are those feet?
Something like that.
Don't ask questions.
Yeah.
Don't ask questions you don't want the answers to.
It's like, it's best not to interrupt a genius at work. Just make sure he falls asleep at a decent hour.
And you get that line. Genius, then. That's what he is? And there's a question mark at the end of that sentence.
You'd be bloody surprised, mate.
I already am. That's a lot of feet.
Sid stops and like starts to count them. It's like, bloody hell, that is a lot of feet.
Yep. I've just decided that for space reasons, he needs twice as many as he actually had people. So instead of 12 people, instead of 24 feet, there's 48. So yeah. But they're all just from the ankle down. Yep. It's the Monty Python carriage.
We talking like Boston Dynamics or like
Not
what
that
kind of
good.
feet we talking?
Not that good.
Rat
But yeah,
doll?
those. But yes,
I'm
those
seeing
sort of metal
48,
claws.
like-
Rat doll.
Because yeah, I saw
I'm
the
s-
sort of Terminator 1 sort of jointed, like the
Oh,
claw
okay.
almost. Yeah.
See, in my head, I
Okay.
saw full on like waddly pistons.
Oh yeah, there's
Just makes
well
this
the thing is
constant
I said there's a
dup, dup,
spring,
dup,
so
dup,
there it's actually spring powered. There is some steam to it as well, but the primary source for this one is a spring because the spring was the primary source in the car, and he's building
Oh,
it Tony's way.
As I'm realizing, like, I really hope he gets all the timing right. Otherwise, I think he's just going to do this all the time.
It's verite.
Can
It's
be
going to be.
dancing.
It's going to be
Yeah.
perfect.
Just don't
Make them duck
make
feet
sure
and
you
they'll go
finish your
plap.
beverages before you get into the vehicle.
Go pep,
And
pep, pep,
actually-
pep, pep, pep.
Oh, I love this, yeah, because as you sort of wonder that and turn your head to look, and you two are still looking out the
Mhm.
windows, the palanquin goes straight sideways, just and then back, and then forward, and then back. It's super smooth, but it is like the feet. There's always a quarter of the feet on the ground, so it's kind of a squirmy movement action to see, but it does work.
Bleh.
Yeah, Sid's just like,
Yeah. And Verite, you can see it in his eyes. It's like elegant solution to a problem. Like he does not understand that this is creepy in any way, shape, or form. He's
Artemis is just wondering why not wheels.
just put side skirts on it. Nobody will notice.
That's actually a very good idea.
Like a parade float.
Yeah. But Verite's clearly not done. He's going to be here all night. You've seen this focus before. This is the kind of 3 days with no sleep sort of focus thing that
Make sure he gets
He's
plenty of
doing-
water.
yeah. So yeah, you make sure the guards are bringing him water and
Oh.
whatnot. And
Yeah.
so yes.
Keep an eye on him.
Yeah.
Don't try to understand it. Just
Yeah.
make sure he's okay.
So Felicity, you said you were going to go see if anybody else was up. You can see Sid out in the yard now.
Mhm.
And because you're standing at your window, you can see that the window over there where your staff is also lit. You
Mhm.
wouldn't be able to see Artemis in it, but you'd be able to see that light is on.
She's going to once she has clocked that Sid's got Verite
Yep.
as taken care of as he can. She's like, oh my god, okay. And she kind of just peeks her head out of the doorway and confirms that, she's like counting like 1, 2, that's Artemis. Okay, Artemis is awake. Da, da, da. So and she's like in her brain she's like, of course Artemis is still awake. So
Yeah.
she'll like out the door and then kind of quickly shuffle over to Artemis's door and kind of knock gently.
Oh, hey.
Hi. She'll like kind of open the door a little bit, peek her head in. Can I come in?
Yeah. Of
Actually,
course.
I'm just gonna come in because if they see me, they'll eviscerate me.
Yeah.
And-
Yeah.
Artemis,
And
are
so
you still
she-
dressed? like
Yes, she
Artemis
is.
clothes on? Yeah, because
Yes, yes.
yeah. Sorry for the interruption. I just had to fix the
Just
picture in my
waved in
head.
chat.
Yeah. Yep. It came out. I went like that. And yeah.
um yeah. So Felicity will, I imagine there's like a bed and there's some like really casual chair in the corner or
Yep.
something.
Oh yeah.
And there's so many papers.
Yeah.
There's so many papers.
She
Felicity,
forewent sleeping and was like, art.
Well, because I was thinking about this.
yeah.
There's a ton of art because you drew all the people at the mansion that had been there, the ones that
Yep.
have been changed.
Those are still at the mansion.
Oh, you left them there?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So you've at least got the art of all of the crew that you've done. Plus, I know you've been like doing little bits of art here and there on the way too. So
And then she was trying to like recreate some of her sculptures on paper.
sort of sketches of sculptures.
Yeah.
So
Schematics and
I'm
shit.
thinking like
Yeah.
you got at this point you got charcoal covered fingertips and
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Smudgies, you know,
Smudgies on
just
the cheek
typical
and- yeah.
Artemis
Yeah.
attire. Like it's not weird.
At one point, you looked at what you drew in face palm, so now there's a hand like this on your face in charcoal.
Um
Editing advice from the audience. I love it.
Thank you, wife.
It's actually been really cool to watch the end of the day over Artemis's shoulder there through that window. We could actually see out of it when we started, and now it's just the abyss with the occasional set of
It's
tail
black.
lights that goes by.
yeah, so I think Felicity goes to like kind of flop into a chair and then realizes like that there's art there and she's like,
Sorry,
and she like looks
I can
around.
move
Yeah.
these.
No, it's I just, they'll kill me if I get charcoal on any of this. And it's like
Yeah.
stark white, really
Mhm.
like chemisy, like flowy.
And I
Yeah.
love I have to, quick interruption. I love the misunderstanding of Felicity going, they'd give me shit if I got my clothes dirty. You're Lady fucking Felicity Caldwell. You can burn that shit and no one will give you trouble. But I love the fact that you worry about it.
Yeah, one of the staff actually asked me from your mother if I knew where you were, and I said no, and they gave me this dirty look like I should know. I tried to play it off. I don't think they bought it.
Have serious attitudes, and I don't like that. I'm going to change that.
Yeah.
But I can't do that right now. Right now, I want to rip my hair out.
Yeah, I think this place would cause anyone to want to do that.
I am just about ready to burn these uniforms and be like, oh my god. Oh my god. It's like the weirdest, like it's a zoo, but not at the same time.
Mhm.
It's organized chaos. It's like everyone knows where they stand,
Mhm.
but they don't truly know where they stand. Because everyone is always like, I could be demoted at any minute. Oh my god, this is wild. And like it's been a day. It's
Yep.
been like 24 hours.
Yep.
So Felicity,
So,
I was like,
yeah,
it's just like
as you do this.
And Felicity, we've not seen each other since the night before because Artemis left before dawn.
Yep.
yeah.
So Sid, you're still outside walking, heading back into the house. These two are upstairs having this conversation. Sid, you see it. The other two just hear the stomping of feet. And if you look out the window, you will see the changing of the guard. It's every bit as snooty and pointlessly show-offy as it is at Buckingham Palace, especially because it's 2 o'clock in the morning and nobody can see it. But they still
It is literally just for them.
the whole fucking spiel. It takes 10 minutes, and then the other guards march away, back into the building.
Sid's leaning against a doorway, taking a sip from his little hip flask,
Yeah.
watching them go by and come
Oh,
back.
everybody's here tonight. K-Grams and
We are the
Gwendoline
least
and Nate
staff
and
of the
Wookie
staff
and,
that live here. Like, the other staff must look at us like, you guys are so unprofessional.
How do you manage to get anything done? There's none of you.
a combination of unprofessional, looking at you like you're unprofessionals, but also looking at you with just wistful longing in their eyes for the level of freedom that you demand for yourselves. That's the impression that I've been trying to give. So, yeah.
Yeah.
They're jealous.
Yeah, in a way.
Yeah.
But
They're
because
envious.
of Allegra's work in the kitchen, they are jealous in a way where they want to bring themselves up to your level. They don't want to bring you down, right?
They're not trying to, like, make us suffer.
Yeah, they're not bringing you down to their level.
Yeah.
They're starting to think that maybe, just maybe, they deserve to be at your level. Except for Felicity.
Felicity
She's
is
on a whole
just
different
going.
level.
Felicity is just going off on like the ridiculousness of like just recounting what they did that morning of like getting her ready and
Oh,
like
yeah.
all of the insanity of like getting her hair done and getting her makeup
Girl
done
stuff.
And if you're supposed to be ready
getting
for breakfast 1 hour after dawn, you've got about 3 hours before that dude shows up again with his 5 dresses and the makeup artist. Yeah.
Felicity is going to go off on them. Felicity is, now that Felicity has like an outlet, she is wired again. She is like, her brain is cranking
Yeah.
with like all of these like I don't think I can what like this how does anyone how does anyone do it? How did anyone do it? They weren't even this strict in bloody, do you know where? At least I can wear my hair the way I liked.
P.S. Nobody, your mom never saw you with your hair down, right? You didn't let it down until after you left.
No,
right?
no, she did.
Oh, you did.
No,
right,
she
right,
she
okay,
never
yeah.
saw me with my hair up.
Up. Right. Okay, that still works.
She
would have then
only saw me
presumed-
with my hair down.
Yeah, until she sees you actually change it, she's going to presume that that was the style that was put on you for reasons. So yeah, she does not. My point is, she does not see that as an act of rebellion because she didn't know you did it.
Got you.
Yeah, the Italian
yeah, so-
equivalent of tabernacle.
Yeah, so Felicity is just like basically using this time as like a way to process
Yeah.
the sort of overwhelming experience she's just
Mhm.
had today.
Yep.
And she gets to this train place and she's like, the guy, the train guy, his name is Tony Senior, and he met Elizabetta.
Yeah,
And he
Sid said the guy
hates
that
her.
made the car.
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah.
He hates her guts, but he still uses her methods of steam work. Not with people, thank fuck. But
Yeah, I imagine that wouldn't go well here.
no, honestly, I kind of want to tell him that I don't know, saw her die or something to like give him closure, but I didn't think because the car that he built didn't work the way that her Steamworks did, so I didn't expect I mean, I didn't see the machine in the coffee shop, so I didn't expect to see more of the work that I used to do. It just brought back a lot of bad memories, and I had to tell him where I was from and what I did, and I wasn't proud. I mean, how could I be? And I told him we would make things right, but I didn't expect that I would be using that knowledge again for anything like this.
Yeah. I imagine that was a lot. I mean, just meeting him alone and him having knowledge like that must have been a
Fel-
lot.
Felicity, did it sink in then, or is it sinking in now, or both maybe, that when
Like
you were
both.
in that place with them, they treated you like a human being, like an equal? They only called you Lady Felicity when it was important that that was in the conversation? He hugged you without question. He did not treat you like Lady Felicity for most of the time you were there.
Actually, then, yeah, it would only be sinking in now.
Okay.
Um, he he's different in a good way, in a very, very good way. He's been outside of this bloody city, and it's just more than I was expecting for, I don't even know what I was expecting, to be honest. How are you? What did you do today? You can tell she's like, she, she's so overwhelmed she can't even
Yeah.
like continue.
That's the
Yeah,
I
Artemis.
saw the Far Side cartoon in my head. May I leave, Mister Smith? My brain is full. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Artemis will grab one of the blankets from the bed and just like wrap it around Felicity, um, and like kind of sit next to her. Well, I found out that the rogue artist is not some crazy, revolutionary. He's just an idiot who got inspired.
Oh, oh,
So
we
that
love
was,
those.
yeah, that was both refreshing and worse than I expected. Um, I also learned um, he's staying in an old abandoned arboretum, but I found that out from another worker that kind of lives in this abandoned house when they're not supposed to. Um, and he
Quick,
told me that,
quick interjection. They weren't living there because when you suggested that they live in a house, they
right,
kind
they
of
were not living there.
they were just in the ruins when you
In
said it.
there,
Yeah.
was in there. He was in one of these abandoned houses, and he actually told me that they also have been told that there's nobody outside the city for miles, like days. The same thing they told us back home.
And if
I
you
am
think about it,
going.
it's as obvious here as it is there that that was wrong because there's signs of external trade,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right?
I'm going to dismantle this bloody city from the inside out.
Well,
I don't know how, but I will.
and I think it's wild because the rules of the working 25 years to get property or house, whatever, there's nobody that enforces that. Not really. Like I asked if there was like anybody
Mm,
that came around and checked, and like no. So I asked if you just
That isn't
put glass in the windows of one of these abandoned houses and put in fucking plumbing, like, who would stop you? No one would. Not unless it became blatantly obvious, and then by that point, what could they do? I guess they could
it's
kick
not
you
like
out, but
And you
we've
know that's
seen
right,
any
Felicity,
signs of a
because you
militia.
exactly, and you know that what Artemis says is right because the train station shouldn't be inside, but
mhm.
it is, and it has been for years. So
Yeah, he
yeah,
said for
Mhm.
decades,
15 years.
15
15
years or
years.
something.
Yeah,
It's
I
it's
mean, the
partly
people.
the status thing, but also they believe that that's how it should be.
They're almost as bad as the Lembillions.
Almost.
they're worse. Nobody here gets days off.
Yeah, yeah.
Nobody here gets to
Almost
be the king once every 14
different
days.
ways. Yeah, the rich are always the rich and the poor are always the
Yep.
poor.
That's
I
disgusting.
I tried to talk sense into the artist, Desi, but I don't know how much it sank in. I'll probably have
Wait
to
till
check up on
morning when you
it on
see the
again.
sign.
Um,
Oh no.
but I mean, I'll check in again because he's liable to get himself killed. Um, because he's too stupid to know when to quit. Um, I thought that I would start offering sculpture commissions in town because we're
Oh,
going to need access to the other families. And what better way to get to rich families than through something that they can want to have? And art is something that they can want to have from other people. And I happen to be
yes.
able to do art. So I figured, why not?
I mean, from the looks of this place, you might be the only person who does professional art. So,
Current, yes. All the art here has been here since before the fall, right? I mean, it's
Hmm.
Italy, so there's, as somebody mentioned
A
in
lot of
chat
it.
earlier, there's a statue in every bloody piazza,
Hmm.
right? I mean, it's Italy, but nothing
mhm.
new, and certainly nothing avant-garde or stylishly challenging.
Hmm.
This whole place is about tradition. So that's kind of a thank you for bringing that up because it really highlights that.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with the classics, but like, I don't know. Eventually they start losing arms and legs.
And once you've seen 10, it's almost like you've seen all of them.
Yeah.
They get old after a while, older than they are after a while. I mean,
Hmm.
I worked in the Citadel for 20 years and I stopped paying attention to the statues after about 4.
I mean, I figure if the Medici's end up with a statue, then your mother or someone else will be like, I want a statue. And just at least get us something, some kind of access that without,
Oh, for sure.
causing an issue. I mean,
I mean, there's no reason you can't drop a line here or there about what you've seen in the other houses or
of course, that's
what,
just small talk.
absolutely.
I know how to dish about people as well as the rest of them. I wasn't always
Absolutely.
I wasn't always just making art for Thomas and his family.
Oh, that poor boy.
Which one, Thomas or
Or
Coas?
Coas.
Probably
Both.
both at this point.
They both have
What
Fatima
do you
to
think
deal with.
they're doing?
Oh,
Getting reamed out by Fatima.
I'm sure Thomas is causing trouble and Coas is trying to stop it, and they're both getting talking tos by Fatima.
You would never know this, but they're actually essentially excavating Florence using Thomas's robots. Very, very slowly, like Pompeying it and taking away all the ash.
That makes sense.
Just so people don't think that my NPCs do stuff after. Yeah, they're still going.
Yep.
I even have a rough idea how many blocks they've done by how long you guys have been gone. So, and a
So
rough list of the
that's
shit that Thomas has found in the wreckage and kept
I
for
think
his art collection.
Felicity kind of sits quietly now that she's kind of been reminded of Coas. Is when her mother proposed for her to marry like one of the Medicis or whatever
Yep.
it was,
Yep.
and she was reminded of Coas, it kind of like struck a chord in her of like, oh, I really miss Coas. And so she had to push that down in order to like go to the train station and do all this stuff. And now she's like sitting with Artemis Damasi, sister of Coas Damasi, the
Yep.
Twin sister.
man that she is in love with.
not twin.
No, Apollo.
Coas is older.
Apollo
Artemis
was
had
the twin.
Apollo, who was the
Right.
twin.
And so she's just like, you know what? I haven't heard in a long time.
An embarrassing Coas fact.
Yeah.
How about this? You're sleeping here tonight so that whoever can't find you in the morning. And I will tell you all the embarrassing Coas stories you want.
That's a fair point. They would never look for you in the servants' quarters. Just, it would be presumed you hadn't come home before it would be presumed that you were sleeping in the servants'
Even
quarters.
though the one butler did see you come home.
Oh, yeah.
So they'd know you
Yep.
came home
Mm-hmm.
and weren't abducted.
Yeah.
Because you would have changed out of your clothes too, so those would be there
Yeah.
too.
As much as I would love to stay here overnight and escape them, I wouldn't want to give my mum a heart attack thinking I'd been abducted again.
That's fair.
So let's stick with 3, and then I'll go to bed.
Okay. 3. Did you know?
You don't have to.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
you
have
didn't think of
one.
them?
I have one. I'm
Okay.
not gonna. I can't think of others.
Okay.
Coas used to collect butterflies, give them names, and little cage houses, and keep them until they, needed to be let go again. I
Aww.
think his favorite was named Hubert.
I'm definitely going to use that.
You better. No point in
Hubert.
telling you these things if you don't use them.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, all right. So they go over the facts, and then she'll sigh and say goodnight and go back to her bed.
Artemis will give her a hug.
Felicity will hug back.
Okay. And I want
Quite rather strongly.
Yes. I don't like this.
Don't make me leave.
And as much
You're
as that
choosing
would
to
be,
leave.
as much as that would be a great place to end, I want to finish with Sid because you said in chat, Sid realizes the time of the morning it is and went to the kitchen to get like water for tea and some biscuits or shit.
Mm-hmm.
As you walk into the kitchen area, I mean, you're staff, you're allowed in here. The kitchen is empty. I mean, it's even too early for the breakfast people to be there. The bread makers aren't even there yet, right? But there is one lady sitting in a chair, like just almost on a stool with her feet kicked up on the table. And she's got a big mug in her hand with steam just coming off of it. It's tea, Sid. proper goddamn tea. I mean, there's too much of it. It's like almost like a half a pint, but yeah.
Yeah. I think Sid probably doesn't notice her until he's on his way out when he smells it.
And then as you kind of stop, she
Ah.
says, Were you going to say hello or not? We're all staff down here. And she kind of salutes
He's
you.
like, I would have if I had noticed you were there. Bloody hell.
Oh, so you were stealing the crumpets?
No,
And there's a big grin, like she's busted you with your hand in a cookie jar.
I imagine Artemis like met with her earlier in the evening.
Yeah.
Well, this is the
Me-
one that Karis has, or sorry, Allegra's been talking to. So yeah.
Yeah.
Sid Brimlock. He just sort of, in an attempt to like start over.
Yeah. And she reaches over and takes a kettle off the stove and pours a big mug and takes an actual tea bag, like it's a cloth bag with tea in it. It's not like the crappy paper things. It's an actual cloth bag with tea in it, and drops it in the tea and just pushes it over towards you and leaves it there like it's not ready yet, right? It's just started to steep.
Of course.
And then reaches under the chair and pulls out a bottle of whiskey. It says, have you heard of Spanish tea? Or sorry, have you heard of Irish tea? That's what I meant. Irish coffee is the coffee with whiskey in it. Yeah. Have you heard of Irish tea?
Oh, and he sits down and he's like, it's the only way my father got to work in the morning.
Oh, good. And she pours about 1.5 ounces, 2 ounces into your cup and pushes it the rest of the way towards you. So you're with the new folks?
Lady Felicity, yes.
Damn.
Yes. And are you as free thinking as that woman? And there's a grin.
Yeah, she can see Sid's smile under the mustache. I don't think there's anybody on this continent that's as free thinking as that woman. And he smiles.
Have you ever met anyone that can say no to her?
Not to date.
You know, 3 Irish teas and I still can't. She has a big drink and puts it on the table. And she never asks me anything. I just find myself making muffins.
And pudding.
She's got away with words.
I'm just very glad she's so sweet. Because that's a cult waiting to happen, that woman.
Oh, she's dangerous.
In the best possible way. Your tea's ready. And she holds hers up to clink cups. So, and she kind of very pointedly looks around, even though there is nobody in here, and very pointedly stage whispers, when's the revolution start?
Looking to keep it quiet before we have the right inclinations.
Normally I'm not for revolutions, but I get the feeling this one's going to be, bloodless?
That's the plan.
Oh, sounds like a good plan.
The city has some growing up to do.
That's one way of putting it. They need to be kicked and dragged into the 15th century is another way to put it. So, what's your job?
And Sid honestly at this point doesn't actually know.
Yep.
And he's like, tomorrow I'm a hiring manager. Yesterday I was a steam engineer. Today I'm not even sure.
And she blatantly just scans you up and down. And I mean, you worked for years, right? I mean, you see the image. Sid is a dude, right? He's built. She's not looking at you like that, but she kind of scans you up and does. Your first day in an office, then? It's really
Second,
obvious.
actually.
It's just like, I used to have an office. I just never needed to be in it.
She very carefully puts her tea down, reaches under the table, pulls out the bottle, puts the cork back in it. It's about half full. And she just reaches over and puts it beside your tea. She says, I find that helps when I have to be management. I hate it. I just want to make cakes.
All I want to do is build.
And that's it. I mean, the two of you
Yeah.
are just, you're just like
Yeah.
bestest buddies, both of you in over your head. She gets it. She actually starts giving you advice. Above all, and she's drinking the whole time, right? And she takes the bottle back from you, puts a little more in her tea because you guys are going to be here for a while. Above all, never let them know you don't know what you're doing.
He's like, that's the hardest thing. The old job, that's all I knew how to do.
She says it's
15
very
bloody
easy.
years.
It's very easy. Short declarative sentences. And then turn around and walk away. It's basically the same advice that John gave you.
Tony.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tony. Why is he John in my head? I don't know. Tony Sr. Anyway, John's your dad. Your character's dad. That's where it's from.
Yeah.
And I got to figure out how to get him back from Rome, but never mind. That's my problem.
So we gotta get Coas back so you can take the trip.
Yeah.
Road trip.
Pick up my dad along the way.
He left to get smokes, never came back.
So yes, that's we'll do a little more discussion on this, I think, at the start of next time. But that's where I want to leave this with upstairs. Felicity just thundering into bed. Just I'm assuming it's a proper hurl yourself into bed now.
A little bit of airtime.
More like it's just like a flop.
Yeah, just and off you go. Artemis, you have to clean off your bed first because it's got art all over it, and yeah,
Yeah.
and you settle in.
So it kind of clears a spot. Like
Yeah,
pushes
it's
some
like she doesn't move
aside
it
and-
all off. She just is like, yeah, I can put some of this here and
Yeah,
some of this here, and
and we're gonna end
dust
with
off some of the charcoal and ends up just smearing.
shake it up and down. Yeah, but we're gonna leave with Sid and our cook. Her name's Maria. If you've asked by this point, probably. And she, after about 45 minutes and half a bottle, she says, "Oh, the others will be here in about 15 minutes. So, if you'll excuse me, I have to look like I know what I'm doing."
Right. Does the drunk getting out of the chair for the first time after sitting in the chair for too long?
Yeah, you didn't realize how drunk you were. Stand up, moving.
Yep. Your
Yep.
legs remind you. Grabs the kettle. Forgets about the bread.
Yep.
The morning constitution.
I see you heading up the stairs with a tray in one hand with like a kettle that's still got warm water in it and a cup and some tea and sugar and shit, and then the bottle in the other hand. Just heading up the stairs. There's only about this much left in the bottle, but
Yeah.
So
Ready to wake up in 2 hours.
Yeah, as you get upstairs and plunk your tea down, you realize that water in the kettle is still going to be lukewarm when you have to be up. And with that, the three of you, we cut back to that outside scene again, and the last two lights in the villa go blink, blink, and we roll the credits.
Why did I think of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood in the end of that?
Well, you guys have got a ways to go if you're going to turn this into Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, because yeah, right now they are. I mean, they nailed it tonight. They're fighting. You're fighting to drag them into the 15th century at this point. Never mind the 21st. So, with that, thank you again. Every week, this game is exhausting. And I know that's not just me because I can see your eyes at the end of it. So thank you. you guys, I've said it before, I'm going to say it over and over and over again. One of the things that we do different here is we act. These are acting scenes. There's lines, there's dialogue, there's whole conversations. It's not, I tried to convince them to let me in to see the king. What do I roll? Like, we didn't make a single play tonight, right? So thank you for that. I love it. The story is going well. There will be roles when you have to start doing things that are difficult, but convincing people that already want to help you is not really difficult. So on another note, just a final technical note, you guys are, as far as your 4 different areas go, infrastructure, you found the person you need for that. That's going to be Barry. He's got the power. Barry the Baron has the power to make people sell their houses and you know, whatever you need to do to make space for what you're doing. You obviously have Tony Sr. in charge of engineering, and he's signed up already. He's signed on the dotted line. Barry's still got to wake up and sign tomorrow. On the political side of things, you've got Catherine, but you've got to win her over still. So you've got her, but again, you haven't sort of recruited her. And
We
then
found her, but we need to
yes,
recruit her.
exactly. And then your social person, believe it or not, is Maria.
I knew it.
She's the one, because she's the cook. She's probably the only person on this staff that has direct outside contacts with other people because she has to bring food in and all that stuff. So she's probably the only person on this entire staff that has connections in other households. So you found them all, and you got one of them signed on the dotted line. So we are well on our way. And in fact, you're on your way to finding a place. Well, you've found the necessary site, but you haven't gained access to it yet. So we're waiting for that. But that all out of the Barry's going to be sober enough to know where to sign. Yeah, that's fair. Wait till you see what his real name is when he actually signs it. But anyway, he's called Barry because
say it last session.
I very
It's like
briefly
Baron von something.
it's Von something, but all I remember is Baron Von, so we're going to make it up next week. I remember thinking, I started to say the word and I thought, no, I can't use Von Munchausen. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
I started it and it's like, no, that's too obvious. So, but yes, we'll get to them next week. But until then, I have some thank yous to do tonight. Oh, in spite of life, in spite of all the things that happen, these wonderful people keep showing up to play, even when I know some of them should have taken the day off sometimes. So I want to thank them all for being here. I want to start with Thunderscape Robin. I love Artemis's character. I love the idea of doing art again as a way to connect with this culture and to sort of get ins with other families. Absolutely brilliant. Artemis, under all of her artsy fartsiness, is a natural born politician. Just hasn't quite figured it out yet. Bison _ Stonefist. It is so much fun beating up on Sid by just making him be all the things he hates. Like now he's a boss. It's, oh God, how do you do this? And he's got all these people trying to help him and everybody's telling him he's going to be good at it. And he's still like, I don't want to. I just want to make steam engines. I just want to do my thing. So it's a really interesting, it's a weird coming of age story for a almost 40-year-old man, right? He's got to grow up and be the boss. He's been a worker his whole life. So that's really cool. And I'm looking forward to that.
It's almost a midlife crisis.
Pretty much. And equally stressed and for very similar reasons. I love the Felicity. Just like, I just want to scream and fart at the breakfast table. I just need to break this place. It's just like, I'm just waiting to see Felicity just lose her shit, start pulling her dress off in the middle of a party and just, no, I just want pants. So
give me pants or give me death.
Give me death, yeah. So with that, I love it. All 3 characters are deeply under pressure to change. And I love that. So I want to see how you resist and or don't resist those pressures. But that's for next week. And before next week, we've got 2 more thank yous. One to all the people. And it was, there's another new one I didn't even see before now. Impish Nin, thank you. I hope you're still here. But thank you to everybody in chat every single time we do this. It's been a week since we put out a show and we didn't lose audience. Everybody still showed up. So thank you. Thank you very much. We made that a lie. You can take time off from streaming and still retain your audience. All 7 of them. So, but I'll take 7. That's 7 people that are watching that weren't watching before. And I hope we made your night, because thank you for joining us. Of all the millions of bloody things you could have done, of all the millions of videos you could have watched, literally, you chose us. And that's damn special. And I feel special when you do it. So thank you very much for that. For everybody watching on YouTube, thank you too. If you watch the VOD or on YouTube, thank you for watching. If you watched all the way to the end on YouTube, please hit the buttons, the little thummy thing at the bottom, and maybe even the subscribe button. It doesn't cost a penny, and you'll find out when we're doing more stuff. And tune into the YouTube as well, because our entire backlog is there. There's over 500 episodes now on YouTube at 2 hours, on average 2 hours each. So that's over 1,000 hours of content, and I'm absolutely overwhelmingly proud of every second of it, even the ones that weren't great. I'm proud that we did them. I'm proud that we tried, and I'm proud that we plowed through on the nights it wasn't easy. So thank you for watching. It means the world. And until next time, I will still consider to take it as a personal favor if you will please be nice to each other. Good night.
Bye.